Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's been a little bit of a while since we looked at the GM Scar, and people do seem to get bent out of shape that I don't, cover guns as frequently compared to others. Someone even accused that I was showing bias that towards the World Pro AK compared to like the VMP2 because I hadn't done any more videos on the VMP2. I mean, I did videos on this GM Scar, which I absolutely love. It just takes time to get round to doing them, which with this one, I'd ordered some bits, waiting for them to turn up. You just got to hang fire, Parcel Force sat on it for a couple of weeks, so there you go. But this is the Guns Modify Scar L, which is MWS based. Can't remember the last time I did a video on this, but, we looked at it, I loved it, it's a brilliant platform. And we get, a gas blowback Scar that runs on the MWS system, which, I have a plethora of mags and stuff like that. So, but I wanted to try this. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to run this on the gun, but, we were looking at doing some parts for this, and Thor actually modelled up an M-Lok lower piece here that we were going to look to, machine and offer to you guys. But then I spotted this on JK Army, and I thought, you know what? I'm just going to give it a go. So, disclaimer, it's not going to be to everyone's taste. If you don't like it, that's fine. I'm not even sure I'm going to like it, so I'll put it on there. If I like it, I'll leave it. If I don't, I'll return it back to standard. But in this box, if you want to know what this is the RGW M-Lok rail set for the Guns Modify Scar L GBB. And this is in dark earth. I was kind of almost tempted to go with the black, but it's the only black part of the gun in this area of it, so I thought if we did it up a little bit, and it's not a bad colour match. So if you haven't guessed it already, this is going to go on the front and give us some M-Lok. There is also some extra bits in here. We have a lower piece, which is also M-Lok, very nice indeed. It's weird that they've like chamfered that out and like dragged it. It's almost like they've drilled it in the wrong place, or they're giving you a bit of wiggle room there. But I would much have preferred it to look clean like this rather than this elongated slot, because there's going to be a gap there. In here we also have some funky looking M-Lok panels. Now I'm pretty sure these are sort of modelled off of something that's available in the real world. I'm not sure on that. There was someone that popped in the Discord. I think it was Myriad that was, if I got that wrong, I apologise. But I'm sure he was fitting like real stuff to his Scar. And I was like, well, that's actually kind of cool. I want to try it. So we don't get access to the real stuff over here. So we're going to give it a go. Now, we've got normal Allen key slots. We've got torque slots underneath. So we're going to give it a go and see if we can get this thing off. So is that a T20? No, it's a T25. So we'll take the bottom slot off here first. And I'm hoping this is super easy to do. So 2 screws, T25. See, these don't have elongated slots, it's just 2 countersunk pieces, and you've got the cutouts here like that. So I'm guessing because that one's slotted, this one needs to go that side, or does it go that way? That way would be cleaner with the front, because if we line up the screw, it's flush with the front here. If we flip it the other way around and we line up the screw, it slightly sticks out this end. So I'm guessing it's also a very loose fit, which on the GM one, there's a gap between the rail and the sort of the upper receiver, as you see there, but sideways, no travel. We put this one on, it sits up against the receiver, but there is a lot of travel. Hopefully when the screws are in there, it's going to do a good job of holding that together. Now, what else do we have in here? we've got a little rail section. So I imagine that's just an accessory, because I don't know why you would convert it to M-Lok and then have a rail section on there, but nice that, I suppose, nice that it's included. We've got a bunch of screws. I'm wondering if we'll even need them, with the thinnest M-Lok slots. Maybe that's why they've done that rail, because you'll see the M-Lok slot cutouts are really thin compared to usual. So maybe this is for the side rails. I really don't know, because it is very, very thin in there. But if this won't fit normal M-Lok slots, it kind of makes it irrelevant, doesn't it? So we've got some bolts. These are longer bolts, the hexes. We'll be taking Torx out to put hex in, which to me doesn't make sense. But they're also very, very long. So what I'm going to do, there's obviously no instructions that come with this. I'm going to use the Torx bolts and try and slot these in here. So we'll see what the fitment's like when this is tightened up. I prefer Torx over Allen key slots. I just find that they're much harder to, you know, sort of damage the screw heads. So that does screw on there with the original bolts, so we could keep it that way. They are pretty much flush. There's a bit of a gap around the back one where they've slotted it, but it gives a much more slimline look. What we'll do next, we'll take these off. So you've got T25 up front. Which is a very weird screw. It might be encapsulated. We need an Allen key to take off these screws, which are very tight. So, two of those. And yeah, you'll see it's got like a spring which holds that screw in. That's very weird, isn't it? So we can punch these countersunk screws out. Can we push this out? It's like, I don't know if you can see this, it's like spring loaded. Which latches onto like a connecting piece of the screw, which gives you like a clicky screw, but I don't know why that would be needed. But we'll carry on. So we've got that off. These, I presume, are going to go like that. So was there something meant to be there that's fell out? Yeah. So some kind of encapsulating nut. So we've got to try and figure this out. Take these Torx bolts back out. Take this off. There is like a sliding nut there. You've actually got them on each side, so it's like I don't know how to describe it, like a U-shaped bracket, which it doesn't want to come out. What we'll do, we'll remove the other one. So 3 bolts again. It's very different doing this on camera. Now if you're sat at home, so if I was just sat at my desk messing with this, you know, you'd just take time and figure it out. when you're doing it on camera, it's very different because you have to be conscious of the content, that you're not just stood there, you know, being quiet, and also trying to keep people engaged in the video where you're trying to figure this stuff out. So I take it we're going to have the barrel nut out, the barrel system out. So we might want to take this apart and make it easier on ourselves. So if we remove this pin, which is very tight, like that, should be able to remove the lower, which I can't remember how this came apart now. Pretty sure this was, there we go. I knew it was easy. Let's pull that out. Pull the bolt out the back. So we've got this. So it's going to be connected with these bolts here, I imagine. And then we're also going to have to remove these ones here. Maybe. Might not have to actually. Looks like this will just slide out, but we're going to need the barrel out to do so. So let's figure this out. I'm not sure which ones hold the barrel system in place. We do have these screws with these spring tension pieces on. So I'm hoping we remove them and the barrel comes out, and this is just designed to hold these brackets on the side. So we've got 4 of these. You can already see people in the comments right now. Should look at the manual, and yes, I probably should. Yeah, I was right. There we go. We can figure it out for ourselves, it's no bother. It is similar to other Scar platforms with this front bracket piece. Slide that forward like that. Get these 2 pieces out. That can remain in place. Got a bunch of screws on here. So we've got these tiny little T-slots. Got countersunk screws. We've got those which I presume are for very, very short countersunk screws, which I presume are for the rail section that's come with it. Those will of course be paired up with these M-Lok nuts, if I can thread them on. I don't quite want to grab for some reason. Come on. Anyway, we'll come back to that. So we've got the big bolts, which I presume are for the bottom rail. We've got some cap head screws, a single countersunk screw there of a different size, and then we've got these tiny little T-shaped bolts. So it would make sense that those would go in this to sort of keep them out the way. So you'd have these little brackets go in here into this slot. So that would go in there in that orientation. And drop them. It's pretty fiddly. So that's going to go in there like that. These will go in there. And we've got 4 of these narrowed down screws, which only makes sense that they're for the side rails. So we're going to need a flat head. I'm not a fan of flathead screws, to be honest. So we're going to loosely place that on there. line that up, get another screw in this section here. Just going to loosely put them on there. This side can go on here, and line up like that. Take our other side, place it on there, a little flathead screw. I'm hoping this is worth it because it's a lot of faffing, and I don't particularly trust the thickness of those screw heads. It's very thin. But I imagine they need to do that to make the M-Lok slots work, because otherwise you put a big bolt in there, you're not going to be able to get your M-Lok nuts in there. So we can line that up. That's loosely on there, just holding in place. We can slide our barrel assembly back in. Like that, just a little bit. And then we got this piece. So this is going to go here like that. So how are we going to have to strip this barrel system down to get that through? Or no, it's not going to fit through there. So we're going to have to strip the front end off. Slide this forward. So we go in. That would hit the piece that I removed, okay? So then we come out, back in. Slide this back into position. Tighten these screws back up. So what the piece that's going to get in the way is this. So once you've got this in, or the rail section on there, you just put that back in there. Oh, actually you don't. So I had it like that, must have. And it requires you to come up and like down. So you just put that piece back in, then you should be good to go. Just hoping this this rail kit is worth it. So we've got 2 cap head screws. These are going to fit inside that rail there. Do we have a 3 mil? Is that a 3 mil? There is a bit of it's going to pinch your rail in because there's a bit of a gap between the parts. See how it's pinching the rail in? Because basically there's a gap between this part and this part, which if we loosen these off, see that? So it's going to pull the receiver in. I'm not sure if that's going to be detrimental. I imagine it would be okay. There is a difference in colour in the parts. I don't know if you can see that. We will slide. Let's put this on. So that has to go in that way. Which then won't let it line up. What the hell? So if we put that on there, you've got that slide-in slot. If we square that up against the receiver, it puts the hole slightly off on this side, so you'd have to push that forward, which means it kicks that rail out like that. Let's go with the Torx. I don't want to fit the Allen key screws. We'll fit these in. Hopefully when we tighten this all up together, it kind of all comes into place. Yeah, that kicks it forward, so you've got like a little step out here. So I don't know if this is bad QC or bad design, but yeah, if we tighten these up, it pulls the receiver together. I didn't see any shims or anything in the package, so I think they've kind of messed up with the dimensions. We'll give it a chance though, we'll give it a chance. Flathead to do up these screws, we'll need, let's use a bigger one. So that's the problem you get with flatheads, they like to skip out the tool. So slide this in. Try not to scratch up the rails. And that's it fitted. To be honest, it is nice and stable, but I don't know if you can see this on camera. Because there's such a gap between this front bracket or this front rail section and the receiver itself, so basically that front rail section needed to be wider. Because it's not, it pulls in the receiver, so you've got like a stepped gap on each side. You probably never notice, but just having seen it, that seems to function okay, so maybe it'll be fine. And to be honest with you, it does kind of look cool, but that's just a matter of opinion, isn't it? That's really loose. Why is that loose? Maybe it's meant to be that way. It's just the adjustment for the iron sight, which will never ever get used. Right, we put the flash hider back on there. So in this box we had a long screw and a short screw. I'm guessing the short screw is for this end, long screw is for that end. That's an extra screw which I have no idea where that goes. And then you've got the shortened down M-Lok, hardware for this little rail section, which, if it requires shortened down M-Lok furniture, does that mean that if I grab any type of M-Lok accessory, it's not going to fit on here because it's not thin enough? I mean, that's kind of calculates in my head, that's the way it is, because if that wasn't the case, why would they give you this thin down hardware? So do I have any kind of M-Lok? This is very crude. This is just I think this is just a copy. It's just sat on the side next to me. That's 2.5. So can a normal M-Lok slot fit in these side rails? And if it can't, well, it kind of makes it irrelevant. Yeah. So you can't use normal M-Lok because it doesn't fit in the slots. I imagine it fits in this rearward slot. Let me grab pliers. So I don't think it even fits in the rearward slot. This is just a normal M-Lok screw, which doesn't want to fit in. So it kind of defeats the point of having M-Lok on there, because you fit an M-Lok on there because you want your M-Lok accessories. If you're fitting this and then you've got to fit this anyway, it kind of makes it redundant. Now, yeah, it does look cool. It's more comfy than the standard rails. So maybe you wouldn't be fitting stuff here, you'd just be using the ones up front and obviously the top rail. But in terms of looks, yeah, sure. In terms of functionality, not good, in my opinion. Let's whack this back together and we'll see what it looks like with the gun fully assembled. Let me slot this in, put the stock on. I do love the way this gun strips down. With that in, slide our lower back in. Make sure that's slapped in. There we go. The front pins on these are tight, but I'll tap with a hammer. And there you have it. Let's clear the bench and we'll be back in just a moment. Right, there you have it, the RGW M-Lok, what was it called again? RGW M-Lok rail set for GM Scar MWS GBB. It looks cool. The fitment is a bit of a faff. I imagine, well, I reckon I could have done it a lot quicker if I wasn't trying to film it at the same time. The M-Lok compatibility is a massive downside. Why you wouldn't just increase the size of this, it really wouldn't matter all that much. Increase the size, give us a proper M-Lok slot, you know, and happy days. You've got M-Lok at the bottom which you can use, you've got M-Lok on the front sections which you can use. It does, I will say, it does make, you know, the rifle more comfortable compared to holding those, you know, blocky rails, the plastic ones on the side and the metal one at the bottom. So it is more comfortable. You've got like these little slots in the M-Lok just for added, you know, sort of grab on the rail, I suppose, if you had no hardware on there. So we can give this a quick shot to make sure it still works. So yeah, it works perfectly fine. There's a bit of a spring twang which you're going to have to sort out. Still use your iron sights if you want to, but I imagine no one is going to use them. You're going to put some kind of optic on there, so that's kind of a given that, you know, those are going to be folded down most of the time. It does give you the chance of getting, let's say using a suppressor, you can get a torch mounted really far forward to get that, lose that silhouette that you get off your suppressor if you go, you know, using tap lights indoors and stuff like that. You know, using up a QD point maybe for a sling. You're kind of stuck for options of sling points on the back, apart from this top loop. But yeah, it looks cool. The colour isn't too bad. The colour is different on all three panels, so there's different anodizing going on there. This is mismachined in terms of it sticks out too far. This part is mismachined because it doesn't perfectly line up on the inside of the receiver, so there's a massive gap. Because of that gap, when you torque down the screws, it pinches the receiver in, and basically it sits in much closer than it should be. You could technically not fit this part and just fit the normal front bracket piece if you didn't want this, and it won't close the receiver in like that. But I think the reason you're buying this kit is for that extra bit included in the front. So hope you like it, love it or hate it. Really was a bit of a pain to install, but we got there in the end. So let me know what you think about this kit. And I can't even remember how much it was. I don't think it was cheap, let's put it that way. For the price that I paid for it, I would expect better quality, but it's just one of them things these days. Thanks for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Check out the links in the description below. Join the Jaeger Precision Discord. And as always, from me and Bench, we'll be seeing you in the next one.